what you see a lot of times with and I've experienced this myself because I've been this guy. Early in recovery with relationships or attachments, you get clean, you get sober, so you're attempting to be no longer attached to whatever the substance is. But like, I can easily use people as a drug too, or my addiction can manifest itself in that. But the thing is with people is they can go away, and they can take themselves away from you, right? Whereas like drugs are just always going to be there. So, so what I found was that early on, like I didn't really know how to not treat a human as a drug, and ultimately I caused them suffering, right? Because I thought that loving them looked like smothering them, suffocating them, right? And eventually they don't want to be suffocated anymore, and they bounce.
Welcome. This show empowers you to confront and overcome addiction with real stories, inspiration, and a host of resources. Our growing community supports, uplifts, and takes action to enable a new way of living. Now, F3 Recovery brings you the Super Sober Podcast. All right, welcome to SSP 33. We're on and cracking here on the third episode of a series of Letting Go. Hello, I'm your host. My name is Brett C. I'm an RN with a BSN. Been working in hospitals and helping people suss out this crazy convoluted disease addiction. My sobriety date is 4/21/03. And we are excited. We got some awesome guests. We're going to be educating on this one. Just stay tuned and entertaining as always on the Super Sober Podcast. And we'll go to our left.
Hey everyone, my name is Rich. My sobriety date is October 5th, 2013. I'm also an RN. I work in behavioral health. I've worked in behavioral health for like 10 years now. Glad to be here, ready to talk it out.
Hi, my name is Mike G. My sobriety date is October 16th, 2022. I work in the field of helping people with mental disabilities find independence, and glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Sweet.
Yeah, of course. If you hadn't seen Mike G yet, of course, Rich has been the co-host since the beginning, off and on. Good. This is like 3 in a row. That's rare. Bam, let's go. And Mike G, if you want to see his story and get to know him a little bit, he's on Super Sober Podcast episode 21 when he's doing some awesome spoken word and some comedy, and his story's unbelievable. Check out that one. But first, and as always, right, we got to shout out the mastermind behind the scenes. That's Solomon here at the podcast place in Long Beach, California, giving us the foundation. There he is.
Legend.
All right. Yeah, legend. Let's go. So we're doing, like I said, this series on Letting Go. We're going to be doing 4 videos, so hang tight. But as always, we're going to do some sobriety milestone shout outs here on SSP. And that's going to be Mallory L with 1 year. That's going to be Dion S with 4 years. We're going to be doing Jesse C, Miss Super Sober out there. Love you, honey, with 19 years. Jeff R, El Jefe with 21 years. Grant M, what's up, brother? Hope you're listening, with 30 years. And then Easy R with 35 years. Let's go. Yeah, I was able, we're at a local club over here in the OC, and we saw Jesse C, Jeff R, and Easy R all take sobriety birthdays together. It was super rad to see all that. And man, if you want to be shout out or whatever, just email us, and we'll throw it out there. And Rich always has something to say now too after that, right?
Oh yeah, just anybody. If you have 1 day, 0 days, this is your first day, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is you got, congratulations. We want to shout you out as well.
That's right. Right. They say these days, I hear, right, 1 day is a lot of time to a dead person. So, damn. So we're gonna
0 days, and just having the desire is a huge deal.
Yeah.
I remember being 37 days before I took a 30-day chip. Not a good place to be.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
That's right. If it's your first 30 or your last 30, hopefully it's not, and then you catch it before it happens here. And we're always living to give here because we're grateful, inspired, validated, and excited for these next 4 videos that we're going to be doing. We're going to be breaking them down. We're going to be sharing a little bit of insight. This first video that we're going to be going to, which was the first video we were going to share on this series, but it's going to be the first video on the last of these 3 series. And it was a viral video that came across on YouTube. Shout out to the wife again for doing a lot of insightfulness in the background with the show notes. She saw this, she shipped it to me, it got shipped around the recovery community. And this one is another universe of video right here, explaining what you need to do when you start getting sober, or if you want to do change. And if you haven't seen the last 2 episodes on this series before this, I would suggest to just, it's going to increase your intelligence, your ability to change, your ability to recognize the signs and symptoms and the barriers to what is holding you back from the new life that you want. So we're going to be doing one of these 4 videos, and we're going to hit it right now with the first one. So stay with us.
Universe, I really want this new thing. Wait, why did you change everything? To make room. But I want the new thing and everything else. I want it to stay the same, but still get the new thing. Getting this requires you to grow to be eligible for it. In your case, you're being held back by all of these things. So I removed the things holding you back. I chose the safest path for you. But now things are too different. I want to go back. You want to go back to how things were? Yes. It's too scary here now. You can have the life that you used to have. You're allowed to settle or stop progressing whenever you want, but you'll relive the same experiences again and again and again until you integrate them. You'll fall back into your old patterns, be around the same people with the same mindsets that you've outgrown, relive the same feelings, feel the same fears, and be held back by the same apprehension forever. You won't grow or expand. Are you sure you want to go backwards? Well, now that you put it that way, no, I'm not. But I don't want to be here either. I'm just uncomfortable. Of course you are. You're in between 2 chapters of your life. You're releasing a lot in order to make room for bigger and better things. You're still on the right path, even if it feels uncomfortable right now. Just relax. You're exactly where you need to be.
Yes, chew on that one right there. That hits on so many different levels. When you see that video, it's kind of hard to watch any of the videos that we've done in this series just one time, and it'll hit in different levels. So what was so correlative, what was so inspirational, and the explanation of the visuals of what we've been doing over these last series, this one's really hits hard. And for people, no matter what level you're on, I've been working on year 23, and I'm still cycling through some fear, but I'm doing it scared. I'm doing things messy, but I know I'm going to get through it. And I know the right people at the right place at the right time are going to show up. This came up. We weren't going to do this podcast so quickly, but I shouted out to a couple people. They said they were going to show up. I was doing the show notes late last night. Here we are. Let's go. Because I know I got the right people at the right place at the right time. And I can go on with my experience of having so many places and people and things that happened. They just showed up because I was walking the path. I worked the 12 steps. I got through what I call the negative flipping feedback loop, the defeat on repeat. You can be cycling through the same fears, the same emotions, the same situations, the same people for how many years? We see it all the time. And it's time to get off that negative feedback loop, right? And I call it getting the defeat off repeat, like I just said. So, I mean, right? Repetition is the mother of all learning. So we're going to keep on pressing through this. And I hope everybody out there that listen, there's so many people explaining this same process, but this video hit really true with me of how many habits, people, places, and things, old ideas that I had to let go of. So that allowed me to grow. And then I was able to receive what I needed to receive because I wasn't able to receive what I needed to because I was still in an old mindset. So that was kind of what hit me on the premise on that one. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, I think for me, what stuck out to that video the most was like I thought about like my early recovery, which I think I really struggled in my attempts at getting clean, at the multiple attempts, different programs, detoxes, rehabs. What I really struggled with was this idea of like my identity. Who am I going to be if I'm not this? Even though it was something that was really ugly and not anything that I was proud of, it was still comfortable to me. And who am I going to be? Like, what does that look like? And how am I going to function in this life if I'm not putting something in my body. Also, I had this idea of who I thought I was, and I knew if I removed the substances, then I was going to be something new, but I just didn't know what that was going to be, and that made me extremely uncomfortable, and that was part of the reason why I would go back. So eventually, I mean, it's like at some point I had to just lean into that shit and just say like, my fear of who I'm going to be or what I'm going to be or what that's going to look like, my fear of letting go has to be stronger than my desire to stay where I was, and when I got to that place, then I was able to get through it. But it was very difficult because I was like, early recovery, man, I was a raw nerve, and like there was some things that had to change immediately for me. So I grew up in Portland. That's where I used at. I got on an Amtrak, high out of my mind, got on that train and started coming towards Orange County. And so immediately that was a big change, right? That was a huge moment of uncomfortability for me because now I'm going to a place that I don't know anybody. I mean, my dad was here, so I knew him, but like I knew everything was about to change. All of my comforts were about to leave me, and I was about to be like this raw nerve with no drugs, detoxing, and scared and feeling all the feelings. And I had to let go of that, right? And just feel it and just do it. And so that's the thing that sticks out the most to me. Obviously, there's other things like when it comes to letting go, like, later on in recovery, my mindset, things about, furthering my education, maybe getting into a relationship, maybe whatever the case may be. Those are other things that I had to let go of on another level. But the single biggest thing in my life that I've had to let go of is the identity behind using for all those years and like what my life was going to look like after that.
Yeah, for sure. We all have, anybody that's taken this journey or anybody that's really sunk into change has their own story and able to relate it. So what about you, Mike?
Yeah, it's a really thought-provoking video, and I think like in early convalescence of recovery, I could certainly relate to this idea because that's your initial experience with change and letting go of who you thought you were and what has happened. I always say, I've been through a lot in my life, and some of it actually happened.
Right, exactly.
So a lot of it was mental anguish, and today I could say I don't fear change. I fear not changing.
Yeah.
But early on, changing people, places, and playthings, and I think I had a friend that like really broke it down to me in this way. He was like, losing weight's hard. Getting fit's hard. Being loaded's hard. Getting sober's hard. I mean, you got to choose your hard right now.
Right.
At some point, when it gets dark enough, and as the big book specifically points out, terror, bewilderment, frustration, and despair, the bedevilment, a prey to loneliness and depression, and unable to take care of myself. And at some point, different sounds really, really good. And by the time you're ready to work the program, it's like you got to work really hard to get yourself to a place to say the 12 steps sound like a good idea.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that I got there. Thanks.
Yeah, that definitely in that video, just, whoever your higher power is or God or whatever you want to name it, universe is just a really wide bandwidth explanation of it in this video. And it's like, well, you can have your old shitty life back if you want. And then that's what you're choosing. If if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. So everybody would have been super happy to see Rich get back on that train that he was using with and return back to home with his tail between his legs, right? People were probably happy when I relapsed or Mike did at certain various times in his recovery and then found us back in our old places. Mm-hmm. And that happened with me a few times. And I was like, this is not the same. This is horrible with a little bit, right, of recovery in me. But I had to change so much, and I still working on that change. And it's super powerful in this video. I would go back and listen to it and see how you can relate it. It's not that your higher power doesn't love you. It's not that it's some kind of beating or you're on the whipping post and everything, but it has to change. And you have to be aware of it. That's why we've been doing a lot of these podcasts lately: spiritual disruption, barriers to your higher self, barriers to whatever it is, but it has to change and it's not going to feel okay. And we just keep on pounding that into you that it's not bad on the other side of all of that. And we're here as human beings, and that's one of the greatest aspects of ourselves, that we're able to feel all of this. That's why we're here, so we can experience life completely, not just keep on numbing it out because things feel bad, good, or indifferent. So
I think
we're gonna, yeah.
one of the things that I saw in that video that I think is important is, you know, if you ask for something and things change overnight for you when you're not psychologically ready, you know what I mean? And so she goes from one instance to another instance, and yeah, you're going to be immediately uncomfortable because you haven't worked to, like she said, you haven't worked to earn that. And, you know, so that's why when people try to change too fast, they go back to where they were. So I think that was an important point. And I like the fact that, you know, the God or whatever that was says, you're right where you need to be. That was a level of comfort that says, look, you can grow and you can do this slowly and still get where you want to go, and then be more prepared when you get there rather than that quick change. So I like that part of it.
Yeah, I like that too. And I think that's a good point, Solomon. Like, you know, it kind of goes right along the same lines with, like, you know, when we get sober, we hear people like talking about, like, you know, people are like, if you're still smoking, you'll see like a newcomer that's like, I'm trying to quit smoking. I'm trying to quit smoking. It's like, dude, hey, dial it back, dude.
Yeah.
Dial it back. One thing at a time here.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
doing great. And like noting the progress, but also, and that's great to have the desire, but like, you don't need to do all that yet, because you might put yourself in a precarious situation that you're not ready for yet.
Right.
You know? And so sometimes we try to do too much. And so letting go of this idea, this typical like addict, alcoholic mentality of like all of this or all of this.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's like, just allow yourself to make subtle changes and grow, and, you know, let go of this idea that you have to do everything all at once is I think an important piece as well.
Yeah, I was thinking of this comment that I heard, that like in addiction, it feels like you get this paycheck first, which is getting loaded, and you pay the price afterwards. And in sobriety and in life, unfortunately, it's the other way around. You got to put in the work first, and then you get the paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally different than what you're accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Thanks for jumping in there too, Solomon. This isn't just for about people, because that wasn't a recovery video. So a lot of the information in the videos that we've been putting out, especially for today, it's not recovery related. You know,
Anybody can
specifically,
relate to that.
Yeah,
Anybody can relate to that.
These are all things that it's like people think that you have to. That's what we had Jim Bree on the last one. So many people in recovery that help people in recovery. Not all of them are in recovery. And we've talked about that too. Most of the time, people in recovery think that you have to be in recovery to totally relate. And it's like, no, this is across the board stuff. So we're going to be going into the next one. And this guy's super famous, Gabor Mate. If you haven't checked out his information, he is widespread and helps out a lot of people. He has great insight, and he's been shouted out in the podcast. And we'll go to this next one video. Thank you, Solomon.
So vulnerability is our capacity to be wounded. Now, the reality is that as human beings, we're all vulnerable from conception until death. But when we're hurt in childhood and the vulnerability is too painful to bear, we will try and shut down our vulnerability, and for example, by being right. Because if I'm right, then I'm powerful and I can't be assailed anymore, you know? But when we do that, we stop growing. Everything in nature grows only where it's vulnerable. So a crustacean animal like a crab, inside a hard shell, it can't grow. It has to molt and make itself very vulnerable to be able to grow. A tree doesn't grow where it's hard and thick, does it? It grows where it's soft and green and vulnerable. So vulnerability is absolutely essential for growth. And for vulnerability, you gotta let go of those defenses, such as being right, that you developed as a child in order to protect yourself from the pain. So that's why we talk about growing pains.
Growing Pains. Wasn't it an old sitcom or something, right? back in the 80s. But everybody's got growing pains, or not the pains of growing. And Gabor Mate, you can see all his information for sure. That is so relative and getting vulnerable. You can't do the 12 steps without getting vulnerable. I'm sorry. You can't get to an area of up, uploading all the information and getting it out and letting go without getting vulnerable, or maybe adjusting your viewpoints about being right. They say you want to rather be right or happy. And for a lot of the areas in me, through my own process, I was so shut down. I was so broken inside that I wasn't able to get vulnerable. It was just right. The way I was raised, from loving parents and everything, but it was a lot of competition. I was raised by a football and wrestling coach, and a lot of aggression. And then that just kept on moving forward. It was more comfortable being aggressive than to be vulnerable. So when the 12 steps were presented to me, it was very daunting at the least. So
And,
getting through this process with it, it's super powerful. So
dude, and this is it's crazy because I hear you say that, and like so this is the power of recovery, because I've never seen an aggressive bone in your body, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
And since I've known you, which is wild. But I believe what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you're bullshitting. I believe what you're saying, but that's the power of recovery of it. Is I see a man sitting here that I've known for a few years, and it's like aggression,
Yeah.
And so this is a changed man,
right.
and that's powerful. It's amazing. What I was thinking of during the video was like, again, like I always think about, what was the most vulnerable time in my life where I had to get the most vulnerable was day one, day one. And I did feel like that crustacean that didn't have the shell anymore when I was on that Amtrak, I was a raw nerve, man. And I was like, just in a sad state and in a lot of pain. And I think that pain motivated me to do the work that I needed to do early in recovery in order to put on a new shell, and the shell was a lot better than the one I had before. It was a little healthier. And then and I say this for people that have been in recovery for a little while, because I think I'm in this place, but like, that motivation, that pain that was motivating me early on dissipates over time. And so now I have to be more disciplined in shedding these shells that I currently have. Right? It's easy to shed the shell when I'm early in recovery. Day one, I'm trying to get clean and I'm motivated by a lot of pain. But if I don't have pain motivating me anymore, then what's motivating my change now? Right? So I have to kind of go through. I think I have to go through, check my behaviors more with a fine-tooth comb nowadays in my recovery, and work a little harder and be more disciplined at making change nowadays. Right? Like, it's like, because I could easily sit here and say, I've done so much work that like I'm good where I'm at now,
Right.
And so I think that might be what they mean when they say the road narrows.
Yeah.
You hear that in the meetings and stuff,
Yep.
right? I think everybody perceives that a little differently, but I think that's what it means for me when they say the road narrows as time goes on in recovery. Like, we got to be more disciplined, we got to work harder, we got to go through things with a fine-tooth comb and really be willing to shed maybe the things that are a little more subtle. Maybe the behaviors that are a little more subtle, not as glaring. So,
Yeah, I was thinking about day 3 at a meeting, super raw and uncomfortable and unsure. And I remember this guy saying, "Hey, you need a prescription." And I was like, "A prescription for what?" He said, "Have you ever heard of Triactin?" I was like, "Triactin?" He's like, "Yeah, it's triacting like a man." And while I know what he meant, that now I know what he meant.
That one hurt though.
But
damn.
that was me trying to act like a man out there on the streets. And what I found is that my ideals and conceptions of what a man was, even what a father was completely askew. And for me personally, I didn't need to try acting like a man. I needed to act like a child all over again and be inquisitive and ask questions and be curious and openly admit that I didn't know how to adult.
Mm.
And I needed examples around me of people adulting as I was getting ready to run into lots of frustrations with just, waking up out of a decade of debauchery
Mhm.
and happen to suit up and show up and do, just jump on the mainstream of life as a regular human being with this insanity that was going on between my ears. So I needed a lot of help, and I had to kind of shift gears into being a learner and asking for help a lot. That was really uncomfortable. I think that might be the most uncomfortable thing. Like, hey, I don't really know how to establish a phone bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or I don't know. I mean, I landed in a place where they told me, you're on the top bunk so you can be closer to God.
Yeah.
They asked me questions like, what did your children have for dinner last night? Can you answer that?
Yeah.
When's the last time you bought your own toiletries? And I was so delusional that these questions were like, wow, this is really abnormal, the place that I placed myself. And I'm grateful that people ask me those, difficult questions that they weren't telling me, oh, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Don't leave before the miracle. We're going to love you till you love yourself. While all that had some truth to it, it wasn't really paying off, until some people that drank and used like I did got all up in my Kool-Aid and started asking me if I knew what the problem was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. There's so many different takes on it. The people listening or viewing it, of course, the viewings on YouTube, but you can hear the videos and then you can hear our hearts and our explanation. But what I challenge the audience also is to get their own view on what is that. It's always okay to hear what we're talking about it, but what's your take on it? Do some journaling on it if you haven't done it. There's so many different tools about getting vulnerable, because if you don't let that stuff go, it's going to be there for the rest of your life. You don't have to end that way. And it's talking about, planting the seeds or all the shit that we're getting out of you that you're letting go. Don't worry. It's not going to go to waste. It's going to turn into some good fertile soil for you to germinate the new seeds of your life and your recovery and to move forward with it. So, we're going to be going to our commercial here. We're about halfway through the podcast, and that's His House New Creation. That's Glenn S. out there. He's been on a couple of the episodes. If anybody needs any help, whether you have insurance or not, Medi-Cal, whatever, he's got you covered. You can just call this number. That's 877-345-4138. And that number, once again, is 877-345-4138. And that's His House New Creation Treatment Centers. And we'll be right back with the last two videos.
Welcome to the place where it all began, the 9th Street House. Our maiden journey into hope and recovery for His House New Creation Treatment Centers since 1994. Right next door, the 9th Street apartment building stands as a testament to our commitment to providing comfortable and safe spaces for recovery. And on the other side, nestled amidst nature's best, our Palm House offers a tranquil haven to begin the path to sobriety. You'll find 12 unique His House New Creation Treatment Centers across Southern California. Just as recovery encompasses inner and outer transformation, our facilities mirror this philosophy. The external beauty of our homes reflect the nurturing and healing environments you'll discover within. These are just glimpses of the harmonious spaces where we support your journey to recovery. Our state-licensed and highly accredited programs echo this sentiment. We know that successful addiction treatment is more than skin deep. It requires a robust plan that heals the mind, strengthens the body, and nourishes the soul. We select the best facility to cater to your unique needs, providing focused, compassionate care that sets you firmly on the path to sobriety and hope. Welcome to His House New Creation Treatment Centers, where the journey to a healthier you begins. Your recovery begins here with us.
All right, we're back. Thanks for listening to Glenn's Place, as usual, right in the middle of the podcast. Hope you like what we've shared with the last two videos. We got two more to go, so hang tight. And just know that over there at Glenn's place, when we did the last expose on His House New Creation, that is fully functional out there at in Claremont, His House New Creation, 71 bed treatment center. It's on in Kraken. And what's crazy over here, he's out there in the IE and Riverside, is he's got like a contract with Orange County. So a lot of people from Orange County, when we got so many treatment centers here, go out there, get sober at his place, and then come back here. So shout out to all the His House New Creation alumni, and I know I am. And wherever you are, take some pride in wherever you just got sober from. I know that Charlie Street, right, just had a barbecue, and some of the bros were over there. There's so much stuff going on, so much rad sobriety, but I could talk on all day about that. But let's go to the next one of the third video. And this one is a little bit of Buddhism to be thrown in there. We got the universe, Buddhism, psychiatrist, a little bit of everything on letting go, so you can get a full global view of how to let go, not just from 12-step point of views, but everybody's point of view in their own way. So you can internalize and metabolize a new way to get through, so you can just move along with us. And shout out to all the people that have done their geographical for the right reason this time. If you came out from the Oklahomies or Oregon or wherever you were, and your geographical this time was to do geographic to get right. You know what I mean? So let's go to that third video.
5 lessons the Buddha taught about letting go. 1. Clinging causes suffering. The more you hold on to things, the more pain you invite into your life. 2. Change is inevitable. Accepting that everything is temporary helps you release attachments. 3. Forgiveness is freedom. Letting go of resentment brings inner peace. 4. Desires can chain you. Simplify your wants to find true contentment. 5. Live in the present. Focusing on the now frees you from past regrets and future anxieties. Letting go isn't losing, it's gaining freedom.
Who wants to be free? Huh? No, not me. I want to be chained up for the rest of my life with my thoughts, actions, and emotions. You know, I want to be caught with resentment. I want to be frustrated at people. I want to control. I want to not let go. I want to flip and push everything to the side. Man. And it's ancient wisdom right here. And it seems like every time we talk about ancient wisdom or something new, the 12 steps have been around since 39, you know, coming up on what, another 9 years, we'll have 100 years of people practicing 12 steps. And then people think this is all like, where's this been my whole life? And it's like, what do you mean, where's it been your whole life? It's been right there. They've been, how long are all these spiritual axioms, and the program is super powerful with it. And you can see where a lot of those were. Right there in the Buddhism thing, it's talking about resentment. It's talking about the same thing. And I love it. And for me, it's like what you resist will persist. And it's like, well, that's why we're talking about letting go, because so much of your resistance is keeping everything from being let go, or any kind of making you a channel of thy peace. You can't be a channel of thy peace with all these blockings. You can't be free with how many different things chaining and holding you down. So here we are talking about letting it go, and people's minds start to crack. They start to crack when it's coming to actually practicing, when your higher power actually puts you in a scenario to practice letting go. You cling so much, and clinging leads to suffering. And we're like stage 4 clingers, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude.
And like relationships.
Take a look at those. Take a look at those newcomer relationships.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah.
damn, attachment issues, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think of like, I think of when it so clinging causes suffering. I think of like, I always like to think of like metaphors, you know, and so it helps me understand, because I'm simple like that.
Right.
But like, I think of like a butterfly, right? You try to save a butterfly and you grab it, right? And you don't want to press too hard on it, you know? You want to save it, you care about it, so you want it to live. So you're going to grab it and maybe move it to a safer place, but you're going to hold it softly, right? And so like what you see a lot of times with, and I've experienced this myself because I've been this guy early in recovery with relationships or attachments. You know, you get clean, you get sober, so you are no longer, you're attempting to be no longer attached to whatever the substance is or whatever, right? But like, I can easily use people as a drug too, you know, or my addiction can manifest itself in that. But the thing is with people is they can go away and they can take themselves away from you, right? Whereas like drugs are just always going to be there. So so what I found was that sometimes like early on, like I didn't really know how to not treat a human as a drug, and ultimately I caused them suffering, right? Because I thought that loving them looked like suffering, like kind of like smothering them, suffocating them, right? And eventually they don't want to be suffocated anymore, and they bounce, you know. And then I'm left, or whatever, right? And I think of that as like the butterfly, you know. And so it's great now because all these years later, change has happened, and like I'm in a healthy relationship.
Yes.
And
Congratulations.
Yeah.
too,
And so like
the new
oh yeah, I got a baby on the. Oh yeah, I'm engaged.
I'm
engaged. I got a baby coming in 2 weeks, probably. So yeah, first kid.
Talk about change. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some stuff
Shout
going
out to
on
your
for sure.
awesome bride to be.
I appreciate
You know
it.
what
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
appreciate it. Thank you. But like, and the thing is like, we have a healthy respect for our clinginess, and we
Yeah.
keep it in check, you know, because we love each other, and we're both more free because of that, you know. And so we've had to work through some things for sure, but like, we lean into the work that needs to be done, and because of that, I think we're in a really good place, you know. And so it's nice, but early in recovery, man, we see it. You know, you see these relationships, dude, and it's crazy, and you can just watch it happen. You watch the train wreck happen. But also on the forgiveness is freedom piece, like I think about the amends process. You know, if we're talking about 12 steps, we're talking about like steps 8 and 9. And the forgiveness is freedom. And then I'm thinking about you know, how like we go and we make amends and we're like seeking forgiveness essentially. But like the beautiful thing is if you can forgive yourself, then it doesn't fucking matter if anybody else forgives you at the end of the day, right?
Ooh.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. We do it as a formality. It's great if we can get that. But at the end of the day, they can tell us to kick rocks, and that's okay, because if we forgive ourselves, then we're free immediately.
Yes.
And I got to say that I think that I've always said that I think step 5 for me, and then I think step 9 was really like, that was the difference maker in me continuing to be in recovery, to be able to be in a position to be in recovery and not want to go get high because I was free from that part of myself, those things that I carried for so long, you know. And so that hit the hardest for me on that video, was that forgiveness is freedom by far. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? You guys relate to that one? Or?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for saying all that. I really can resonate with all that. When it comes to letting go, you know, I heard someone say, you know, alcoholics never let go of anything that isn't covered in claw marks. You know, I think I always thought that was unique to alcoholics, but come to find out, you know, it's part of the human condition, right?
Yes.
It's like people have a hard time letting go, and
I'm not going to let go until it bleeds.
yeah, I'm not
brother,
going to
I'll
let
tell you that.
go until letting go seems easier. I'm not going to change until not changing seems harder, right? Or the idea of changing, but. Yeah, I mean, the idea of clinging to things is something that is completely foreign to somebody new in recovery, right? Because I'm a taker and I got to get mine, and I have to get, you know, what I want, and this idea that you have to give it away to keep it, and it's just so opposite of the way you're kind of programmed. And I used
program
to say,
of paradox.
yeah, I used to say, you know, I have great relationships with like animals and inanimate objects. Humans, not so much. You know, I'm still working on it, and this idea of letting go. I don't tell myself that I have to leave it covered in claw marks anymore to let it go. You know, that I love the butterfly analogy. I love this idea of gently letting go. In fact, if you get involved in Al-Anon, they'll tell you things like, don't go where the love's supposed to be, go where the love is. And, you know, I spent a lot of time trying to forcibly find what I was craving or needing. And it's just not that way anymore. I really let life unfold, and I really ceased fighting everything and everyone. And this third step promise, of having a new employer is amazing to me. And
Yeah.
I really enjoy the fruits of carrying that mentality throughout my day.
Good stuff, guys. I hope you guys are listening out there, perking up your ears. And yeah, there's the 5 issues to go through. Again, it was clinging causes suffering, change is inevitable, forgiveness is freedom, desires can chain you, and live in the present. Letting go isn't losing, it's gaining freedom. It's like, wow. So many people get like to the area where they got so much stuff now.
I was just thinking about that. That's crazy. I was going to talk about this.
So
Go
much
for it.
stuff.
Go for it.
And it's like, me and the wife have been going through, right? We're empty nesters. And I know that's like different, but like how many new things are you going to get when you have your kids and then the different stages? But so much of this can apply, but so many things that I've acquired through, working in year 23 of recovery, we had to take care and let go of so many things that we're able to let go of the latter stages of my life, which was getting all my affairs and all my gifts in recovery, a new place, or get rid of what's no longer hanging out. Cause we can have a house full of stuff that we have all these gifts and all these blessings, but it just gets stuffed more in the closet. Then it starts to build up in the back, and that can be so relative towards what's inside too. And it's like, if we don't keep on being that channel, then it's just going to get more cluttered. And the next thing you know, we're all blocked up because we can't let go of it. We got hoarders out there, and people in their places and their ideas, they can't let go of the ideas that they had in their first 5 years, or maybe their next 10 years. And that's where like the set aside prayer comes in and helps out a lot for people that have struggled, and where I'm at now. So I'm always working on keeping an open mind with it, and keeping the freedom coming. So if something happens with me, or if I'm doing something, I can pivot or let it go as quick as I can. But go ahead, you were going to say.
Well, it's nice, right? Like when you kind of like we were talking about earlier, how, well, the first video talked about how you have to make room for this, thing, right? It's the same thing in my house, man. Like when you acquire things, and it's all good. And like, I think really early in my first few years, when I started going to a job every day, showing up every day, and then getting a paycheck consistently. You start to have a little bit of money, start to buy some things, maybe have some stuff you've never had. People are like, "Oh, I got my life back." Dude, I'm like, I got a life I never had.
Exactly.
I got shit I never had. And so I chased a lot of stuff. And like it's cool, but I did it alcoholically, like addictively in a way. And then what I realized was that all of these things that I thought were great were actually starting to like weigh me down, And so we've really been like, I think that's been a part of my growth has been the last few years of learning how to let go of things in the house, And so I have a rule, like anything that we haven't used for like a year, if it's been there for a year and we haven't used it, it's going. There's no point. And then what we do is we donate it. We don't and I don't donate to Goodwill.
I my same clothes I'm trying to get fitting back in there.
I like to donate to Charlie Street, like my clothes. And then for the female stuff, we donate to I forget the house that
the Lynn House.
The Lynn House, yes. And then other stuff we use, like this the thing that's on Facebook called these Buy Nothing groups. And they're really, really freaking cool. And so essentially what they are, I'll go over it real quick just because I think it's helpful for people to know. But like essentially what it is it's a group where, and it's like for us, it's local to Costa Mesa, but they have them all over the place. They're becoming really popular. But you can like post on there and say, hey, post a picture of here's what I have, and then trust and believe there's somebody out there that needs it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then so people will come to you and pick it up. So you don't even have to take it anywhere. They'll come and just take it off your hands. And then say if you need something, if there's something you specifically need, you can put on there like, I'm in search of this. And then trust and believe somebody's got that thing sitting in their garage somewhere that's collecting dust where they can bless you with it now. So it's really this beautiful thing of like people helping each other out. And also what it does is I think it's better for the environment. There's a lot less waste happening. We're a very wasteful society. And it's also like a great way to be of service to your actual neighbors, to your local community, which is really awesome. And it's not going to like a company that's going to go and sell it and make a buck off it. It's going to like, more than likely, right? but it's the honor system. Hopefully somebody will use it. They're not just going to sell it, but that's not up to us, right? We
Yeah,
just let go.
That's
And so,
amazing stuff.
yeah, so that's something that I like to do. And I'll tell you what, man, like whether I'm dumping off stuff or dumping off internal things, like in a fifth step, I feel the same afterwards.
Yeah.
It's the same feeling.
Yeah,
I
it's a good feeling.
feel lighter on my feet.
Yeah.
I feel a little more free, a little less weighed down,
Mhm.
and it's so interesting how that is, because one's material and one is like an internal thing that you can't really, that's not tangible, that you can't really grab, but like the feeling is the same, which is really interesting to me.
That's some good
Yeah.
stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of people out there doing that.
Yeah.
The minimalists are big on that, and I love all of the people amongst the people. We're all about that here on the podcast. But we're going to be doing one more video really quick, and this one's from Wayne Dyer. He wasn't in the program, but he was a big champion of the program. He came from a broken household, got over his own addictions, and this one's on. Of course, we can't not talk about letting go and letting God. So let's go to the fourth
When you're in this place of being receptive, kind, loving, beauty, abundance, when you're in this place, the universe conspires with you to create the right people, the right things. The phone will ring and the exact right person will show up. You have to see yourself already as connected to the right person. See yourself from the end. It's not your ego. It's called surrender. Letting go and letting God.
Right there, some of our best sayings right there. Surrender, letting go, letting God. Man, I'll tell you what, I've been in the right place at the right time with the right people in the right program, in the right situations with the right job. And for a long time, I've never been more ready to live and die for a long time. And I've been saying that for a long time in the rooms. I've cleaned up who I am. I'm ready to let go of whatever it is, the next thing that comes in. I trust the process. Amen. And man, I hope I'm not even halfway there yet.
Mhm.
Right? You know what I mean? And if you haven't checked out any of Wayne Dyer stuff and you're struggling with spirituality or any of those cohort of people that practice spirituality, Louise Hay or any of the other ones, they're so champions of the program. They refer to the 12 steps a lot. So
I really like how he said, you need to visualize yourself in this position, essentially, that you're already going to be like in contact with the right person is what he said. But he said that it's not your ego. I really like that he pointed that out because I think that like we have, we get like indoctrinated like in the program, like with like this humility. You have to be humble. You have to be humble, right? And then so we're like, oh, like if I get a little confident, does that mean I'm not humble anymore?
Yeah.
Right? And there's a big difference between confidence and arrogance.
Right.
There's a big difference between positive thinking and being cocky.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? And so I love that he pointed that out. Like it's okay to think of yourself in this position instead of like, because for me coming into the program, I always thought of myself as like a piece of shit, and I had this like really, really disgusting mentality of myself. So I was very, very afraid to like think of myself any other way. One, because partially I didn't believe it. And then partially I wasn't sure if I was being humble anymore. Right. And that's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
That's a very different thing. So I think it's very important to point that out. I don't know.
no, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
I'm glad.
Yeah, when you brought up being a piece of shit,
Yeah, man.
I remember referring to myself as a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah. That was like my name.
Actually, this veteran of many years in the institution, prison,
Mhm.
came up to me and he said, Mike, listen, I appreciate where you're coming from, but this idea of being a piece of shit, there are some out there.
Mm.
There are some out there.
Mhm.
And in prison, those are people that have messed with children and beat women. They get the label.
Right.
And I remember thinking, why do I think I'm so bad? I
Mm.
mean, I've made some mistakes and I went down a dark path, of course, in addiction, but really I was pretty decent of a human being out there, so I really appreciate that. I think
Mhm.
that's a big transition between, it says we constructively review our day. I found that I was destructively
Yes.
reviewing my conduct, right? I was going through the day going, oh man, I messed that up. I really should have, I could have, would have, should have, could have, right? And it's just
Yeah.
like beating myself to death early on. And now like I know that every human being out there, including me, right, deserves the best things in life. And
Right.
congratulations on your the upcoming birth. That's just such a beautiful thing. And I always say, like, my children taught me everything there is to know about my loving creator. First of all, there's nothing they can do. My daughter, there's nothing she can do to make me love her less, and there's nothing she can do to make me love her more. I just
Dang.
love the hell out of her. I love the
Amazing.
hell out of her. And that helped me, have that same idea
close the
with
gap.
with God, right? I
beautiful.
thought it was a punishing God. I thought that he was after me and, stalking me in a way. And then, this idea of forgiveness, that there's nothing that my daughter could do that I wouldn't forgive her. If she did something awful and ended up in jail, who would be visiting her? Who would be saying, I love you, I'm sorry for what you did, but I absolutely adore you and I'm rooting for you and will be by you to the bitter end, right? That would be me. And by having this relationship with my daughter, it helped reconcile my idea of this father up in heaven that wouldn't forgive me. And, the other thing is that with my daughters, the only thing I want from them, of course, I want them to live and enjoy life to the fullest and be happy and, get everything in life that a good human deserves. But the thing I want most important from them is like a relationship, like a connection with my daughter. I love it when she calls me and talks to me about some of the most minuscule things. And that's helped me with my relationship with my God.
Yeah.
He doesn't want a lot. He just wants me to complain to him about my little petty problem or whatever, and to lean on him and to call and depend on him in a spiritual sense of the word. And congratulations.
Thank you.
For me, that's been a very revealing relationship that helped reconcile a lot that I had to reconcile with my higher power.
Yeah. I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited because I feel like it's another level. That's really what I'm most excited about,
Yeah.
is like,
It's
I feel like I'm
unbelievable.
going to grow from it,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's going to force me to grow, which is great. Cause sometimes I need to be forced, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, hey, it's coming, it's happening. So
Yeah.
we're growing, baby.
down.
Doing
Let's
the,
go.
for the right
going down.
reasons, with the right scenario, and everything, that it's like the next indicated step. And I can't shout this out enough, man, with a lot of friends that I've seen, and I've been around long enough, that unbelievable, just people enjoying and teaching the program to their kids, but not like directly doing it, but with all the coping skills and unbelievable relationships. Of course, Jared with his baby,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
so many, and our shout out to Vanessa and her family, another RN in the program, and just so many. I could go for the rest of this podcast and just tell you, like, I'm just sitting on the sidelines, and Garrett out there with his son, and I can go on. It just like being on the sideline and actually witnessing the growth and the trajectory of just being present, like we were talking about, in the moment, the relationship that you get to have, even if you don't have a new kid, or the amends process and the people that I see doing it. It's unbelievable. It's like almost brings tears to my eyes to see how present people are with raising their kids, and all the new kids that are coming in, because the cycle of life right now is like I've never seen it. I mean, people going, and then the new ones coming is unbelievable out there. I was over just shopping at Costco, and I see all these little kids, and they're like, there's just something different about them. They're like super aware and like present or something. This other kid like took me back, and like everybody was noticing this kid too. And then ran into my bro Al's, niece's daughter the other day. Shout out to that family too. They're unbelievable. And I got to see his niece's little girl, and she was the same way. She just had these piercing eyes. And I'm just super excited for you and your
Man, I'm pumped.
family and all the people and the relationship with your daughter and the relationship that I have with, our sons, and maybe not so great on the other side, and then not so much revealing on the other side with the two kids. But, they're growing older and more receptive as time goes on, right? So I'm working on doing the best I can with the tools that I got and the relationship that was different between me and my father, and letting go of that. And then without the program now, it's, I've said it before, we never leave the conversation without acknowledging, the love for each other and what's happening these days, working on expressing love in a different way and letting go of the ways that I was taught from, my mother's always very loving, but from the masculine side, it was different. And it seems like anybody have a couple more minutes of any last thoughts on this?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
let's go, Solomon.
Well, just that last video, it sort of struck with me because I think this is where a lot of people have difficulty when you start talking about, like you mentioned the word arrogance, and we talk about letting go and letting God, and you hear people say, let God lead you, leave all your problems to God, that kind of thing. But then, it's always difficult because when you're trying to be a good person and you're trying to make decisions in your life and you're trying to make the right decision and you think, okay, am I making this decision with God's grace, or am I making this decision out of my personal arrogance? And you don't really know sometimes. And so you're sort of scared in a way because you're thinking God's going to come back and go, ha, 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 that's not what I want you to do, or you're overstepping your bounds or whatever. And so it's this constant struggle of knowing that, am I going the right path? Like, even in doing this business, sometimes it's like, is this where I'm supposed to be? Because you're trying to make decisions to make things grow and do all this stuff, and you just don't know. And so I struggle with that every day, and I think a lot of people do, but it's very hard to discern, I guess, what's coming from your head and what's coming from God, and what path you should be on. Because I've seen people say, "Oh, I just give God everything," and they're basically homeless because they don't make any decisions for
That's right.
themselves. You know what I mean? And then they go the other direction, people who just do everything themselves, and then they screw it up that way too. So I'm constantly looking for guidance in that, and I can't imagine I'm alone in that.
Yeah. I think that there's definitely there's something to be said about decision making, and is this the right decision or the wrong decision? Is this and I think the key is you make the most educated decision you can, and then you trust that whatever decision you made was meant to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the God piece comes in.
Yes.
Is that you can make a choice and it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? And it's even if the result isn't something that you necessarily would have desired, but ultimately there's probably something that you don't see yet that maybe 10 years from now you'll understand on a deeper level that your higher powers already got figured out. Yes. And so I don't know, that's the way I think of it. I got a buddy right now who's kind of on the verge. He's kind of going through a breakup, but he went and talked to her the other day and he got super vulnerable with her, and he doesn't know if she's going to come back, right? But she said that she'll talk to him later this week. And he's trying to decipher the text message. Dude, he's in analysis paralysis. He's trying to decipher. He's trying to decipher. Hey, what does this mean? Does this mean that when we talk, she's going to say, "You're done"?
Yeah.
Does this mean that when we talk, she's going to let me back? And I told him, I said, "Hey, look, man, I said, she's not going to talk to him for a week from now, right? But for this next week, what are you going to do every day? Just look at that text message and trip and wonder and assume or whatever." And it's I told him that whatever he really needs to try to understand that whatever she says that day is supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Right? Even though he has his desire, he has what he wants. If it doesn't,
Swinging.
if her decision doesn't match up with his desire, that's where the faith comes in. That even if it's something that he doesn't necessarily like, the faith says that this is supposed to be the right thing, even if I don't understand it, and I'm going to be okay. Because if you have that mentality, then really nothing can break you, you know?
Right.
But if you don't have that, then this idea that if she says this, I don't think I can get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But if you
brutal.
trust that your higher power is involved in that whatever decision she makes, even if it's not the one that you chose, if you trust your higher power is involved in that, then it can't break you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
thank you for that, Solomon. You know, I always say, I'm a fan of God's will, but not his tactics and his timing.
Yes.
Right?
Real.
It's never from point A to point B. You know, the
Yeah.
straight line from 2 points is just a straight line. Not in God's world. You know, he may take me around the corner there to learn a few lessons. You know, it's not accomplishing a goal that's half as important as the person you have to become in order to achieve that goal.
Mm.
And sometimes the person you have to become is much more rewarding than the goal itself,
Yeah.
which is pretty intense as you get into sobriety and learning those lessons. So.
Well, this was another unbelievable podcast. I hope you guys were chewing on all that insightfulness right there. We're done with SSP 33. Going to give out the shout outs. You can reach us. You have any comments, questions, and concerns, good, bad, or indifferent, you email us at info@f3recovery.org or info@supersoberpodcast.org. Check out the website at f3recovery.org, all one word. We're on all platforms. The video's on YouTube. You want to see it there. We're on Buzzsprout, the universal platform to any listening. You just type in Super Sober Podcast. We will pop up. Go ahead and shout out to Notorious JID right over here, the first mascot of recovery. He's out of the cell. He's riding the dragon. Just giving us a representation. What happens if you don't do enough change? We see that out there. And shout out to the Detox, the script series that I wrote that's on f3recovery.org. You can check out the one sheet. And that's a script series, the first one written so we can binge watch for recovery. Anybody know anybody out there in Hollywood or a good agent to get to? Just let us know. We've been shouting it out all the podcast. Thanks to Solomon right here for the insight and the place at the podcast place. You want to go from zero to podcast? You could jump right in. You can sit on down. You can make the dreams come through, get the information out. And as always, man, shout out to all these unbelievable people and all the people spreading the word, wearing the shirts and the merch. We have all of that. Just reach us on the email. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns or future show ideas, you just let us know. And don't forget to keep on keeping on. Thank you for listening to the Super Sober Podcast. Go to our website at f3recovery.org. That's F3Recovery, all one word, .org. We're turning fight, flight, and freeze into free form and flow through practicing the 12 steps and staying accountable to change. Don't forget to keep on keeping on.